Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emefiele, the great Malabite who are here is also a plantain farmer.
A plantain farmer.
Banana.
Yes. Oh, he's banana.
No,
both actually.
Oh, right. Okay.
Still that plantain boy.
Well, hold on. It's just for subsistence.
I said so. You see?
Yes. So, but I don't want people to start visiting me because of banana.
Free
banana.
Please, you know, I bragged to Rotus while he was here that he said, "Oh, you're going to sell at market forces for."
No,
banana.
I don't sell at
I
market
said you are going to give me free. Please, I hereby on national TV beg for banana.
No
yes,
problem. No
I
problem.
said it.
You have become a monkey.
Yes, thank you. I'm a monkey. I shop banana. Monkey shop banana.
Good morning, Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo. And good morning, Nigeria.
I'm a babu.
Zazu.
I'm a babu.
Can we start the newspaper review? Of course, with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record, the lead story, subsidy is gone. Long live fuel subsidy. With current market price, petrol should sell at 720 naira per litre. Landing cost hits 651.75 naira per litre. Tinubu under pressure to return subsidy. President NNPC Ipman declared no plan to increase fuel prices. Presents graphic illustration indicating Nigeria's petrol cheapest in West Africa. Kenya returns subsidy to curb rates volatility. Well, before I say one or two things on this, let's just see how other newspapers are reporting this story. Now, the Nation newspaper, Tinubu, petrol price won't go up. Subsidy removal stays. We will end inefficiency. President, labor strike threat premature. While the New Telegraph is reporting this story thus: no plan to reintroduce fuel subsidy. Increase in pump price. Now, the Guardian newspaper, in its own reportage of this story, federal government in deregulation dilemma as 24% inflation worsens poverty. Yes, as this day is reporting, of course, you cannot be lost in the poetic nature of the this day headline. Subsidy is gone. Go back to this day place. Subsidy is gone. Long live fuel subsidy. So where are we? Ruben, you talked about returns on investment. And for an NNPCL, there should be returns on investment. If the landing cost, and NNPC is still importing most of our products, if the landing costs now has risen to 651.71 naira per litre, and NNPC is pegging the price of the product at 617, will there be any return on investment in that case? But you only need to go back to nowhere in time to know where the NNPC is coming from. Under the Buhari regime, it started with no subsidy. Subsidy is calm, and NNPC concurred. Then they now move to the stage of under recovery. How are you funding? You are bringing in petrol, selling so cheap. How are you funding it? Oh, NNPC called it under recovery. Then at the end of the story, under recovery became a euphemism or a synonym for fuel subsidy. Perhaps NNPC wants to take us through that route again, because if you are importing fuel, the landing cost is higher than the price you have pegged it. Of course, then somebody has to pay the difference, and it has to be the government in this case. But in a deregulated market, NNPC has told us how they are selling their fuel. Go to NNPC filling stations and you'll get it at that price. But other marketers, are they bound by NNPC pricing in a deregulated market? Certainly the answer is no. So perhaps we need more clarity. But again, Ruben, when the president gives assurance, you should take it very seriously. You don't have to doubt the assurance of the president. The president has assured that fuel will not be increased further.
And he has affirmed.
Yes. So why are you doubting the president?
And they are showing concern.
Yes, he's concerned about the plight of Nigerians, as we can see.
I assure you.
Yes, now let's look at other stories. The Punch newspaper, 606.9 billion naira procurement fraud. Federal government arraigns Emefiele allies Thursday. CBN procurement director seeks orders to testify against ex-Apex Bank governor. Suspended CBN governor allegedly bought 100 vehicles through employees. Yes, the Emefiele saga. Now the government haven't done their investigation further, I want to believe, are now coming up with new charges against the suspended CBN governor. And on Thursday, he will appear in court. But his bail, the bail granted him by a high court in Lagos is still subsisting. And that the government has not obeyed. But again, the government, they have a way of doing their things. Coming up with new charges, perhaps, after that hearing, Emefiele will be kept further. But this in itself is also a bailable offense. If at court, if Emefiele's team asks for bail, even with these new charges, will the government continue to disobey, using the DSS and other government agencies to flout the law? But Emefiele is innocent until proven guilty in this case. Now, if we look at the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, I'll just leave the two stories there. Leave the lead story amid subsidy questions. Federal government says no petrol price increase. Now, the story beside the photograph. Hardship getting deeper. Implement pragmatic measures now. Yoruba Council of Elders telling the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, things are getting harder. And of course, the other story there, federal government dissolves advertising body over approval of all eyes on the judiciary billboard. Yes, that billboard that has surfaced and has gone viral. For that, the board of the Advertising Standards Panel have been dissolved for approving that trending all eyes on the judiciary board. The Director General of the agency have confirmed. Of course, the billboard is perceived, according to this report, to be blackmailing the presidential election petition courts.
Who perceive it as such? So all of a sudden, the ACON doesn't know their job again. Yes, well, because of just one billboard.
Well, this is a new development.
Play.
It's a new development. Now, the one that concerns everybody, Rufai, Vanguard, inflation hits 24.08% as Nigerians struggle with higher food prices. Measures to tackle food inflation yet to be executed. Analysts, inflation surge devastating citizens' welfare. CPPE, well, the figures were out yesterday and not looking good. And the Daily Trust put it in perspective. Families cry out as food prices hit rooftops. Bag of rice, maize, beans, sugar, garri on weekly increase. Inflation eroding capital base. Traders, experts seek suspension of tariff. Others, Kogi, Lagos, Bayelsa, pay more. Inflation hits 24.08%. Of course, you pity the average Nigerians these days because they go to market this week, next week the price has changed. Meanwhile, the pandemic of empty pockets that does not affect the likes of Ruben is hitting everybody. Ruben, you always like to put yourself in that category, but you know I know better.
The consumer of Nigeria says, we the people. All of us are together in this.
Yes, well, you know I know better.
It's we the people.
Now, if we just look at foreign newspapers quickly, the Independent newspaper, 3 Russian spies next door. 3 arrested in UK security sting. The trio lived in suburban Britain for years and were caught with fake uniforms, passports, and press cards for improper intention. Now, if we look at the Times of London, the Times newspaper, I'll leave the spy story. The story just above that. AI fulfilled my dream, says paralyzed man who can walk again. AI, nothing AI will not do. Of course, this man had an accident 12 years ago, had spinal injury that paralyzed him, but he refused to give up and follow doctors' prognosis and decided to explore the AI option. And today, he can walk and drink beer with his friends. Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
Wow. Okay, so I would like to talk about the billboard they pulled out. The question is why? Is it that all of a sudden Akon does not know his job? That body is to be able to vet every advert, and they've done it consistently over the years. So if they have done it consistently over the years, why is it that it is this now? Because when you look at those billboards, how did they incite the legal process? How did they, say anything about the case that is sub judice? It was just all eyes on the judiciary. So how is it insightful? I just hope this is not high-handedness on free speech. I just hope this is not high-handedness on free speech. Here we have to go.
I knew about it.
Okay, we have to go, but football. Yesterday I said Robotinho, the artificial intelligence football expert.
Yes.
Since you mentioned AI.
Yeah.
Also predicted that Spain will win 2-1.
That was correct.
And beat Sweden. Robotinho was very right. Today, England versus
Australia.
The Matildas, Australia.
The ones we beat.
Robotinho says it will go to extra time and that the Australians will win, 4-3. Well, let's see what happens today. But whatever happens, I don't know who you are supporting. You are probably supporting England, the old colonial.
I will support Australia. So that when they win the cup, we'll say our guests beat the winners.
Yes.
Me too, I would say.
Okay. We'll see what happens. But, great tournament so far.
Yeah.
Great achievement by Australia and New Zealand. And we've seen how women's football has greatly